Hi, welcome to Above Deck, a below deck breakdown podcast. I'm Sarah Goldman, a photographer and former marine biologist living in Charleston, South Carolina. With me is my college roommate and co-host, Kelly.
I'm Kelly Busby, former radio host and current volleyball mom, coming to you from my home studio in Columbus, Ohio. Together, we hosted the Socks with Sandals radio show on WFAL in Bowling Green, Ohio, and we are back again this week to discuss Below Deck and our love of all things Bravo. Today, we have a very special guest joining us, Jacob Peters, a friend we made at BravoCon in Las Vegas. So we are going to be discussing Below Deck Season 3, Episode 10. What took you so long?
Here's your recap. Captain Lee pieces together the cause of the galley fire, which leads to Chef Leon's dismissal. Rocky blames Kate for Leon getting fired and dives off the boat in a fit of rebellion. The crew tries to pull off dinner without a chef, and Rocky gets creative with oysters. So, Kelly and Jacob, how many shackles do you give this episode, 1 to 10?
I would say...
Go ahead.
I would say solid 8.5 to 9 out of 10. So I would give it like a 9 if we're going a whole number.
Yeah.
It's hard to give it a 10 because, like, I don't know if it's perfect, but it's near perfect, if anything. Anything you could ask for.
You're kind of a tough critic. I would give it a 10, like, no matter what. Like, it's got everything. It's such a good episode.
This episode has everything.
Exactly. So, Jacob, kind of before we get into what happened, I wanted to share with our listeners how we know each other. And so we met in line for photo ops at BravoCon in Vegas, right? Not New York, Vegas.
Correct, Vegas.
Yeah. So you were there with your mom, who is also a big Bravo fan.
Huge.
Yeah, and you guys, I think, were behind us in line, and you had this like encyclopedic knowledge of Below Deck, and I was just so taken with it. I just thought it was so cool, and so I'm really glad that we have connected all this time later.
Super glad. I'm super excited to get into things. I remember, we were talking about the Sunshine episode when he was hired, when Eddie was the bosun. And, how he behaved, and that was kind of like how we met, and I was talking about it. And I'm like that with all Bravo shows. Sometimes I'll even rewatch the episodes just in case I miss anything, especially Below Deck. But, also super excited for the new shows coming out. But I'm very observant. I'm happy to share my thoughts and opinions.
Well, I can't wait to get into it. Do you remember who we were waiting in line for the photo op for on that?
Believe it was
a Below Deck person, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
I know it was, well, if I'm thinking of it correctly, it was Captain Lee, Kate, and Colin. That's who I was waiting for. I don't know.
Okay.
So we weren't waiting for them, but I remember that photo op, like they were just to the right of where we were.
Maybe we were waiting for Kyle and
Sandy.
I think Fraser was in your guys's maybe, if I remember correctly.
It was like Fraser, Kyle, Sandy, something like that.
But Lee, Kate, and Colin were in like the first photo op, and then they had like rows of the rest.
That was so stressful, wasn't it? Like getting online and having to pick that photo op like so quickly.
Well, yeah, and then just a tip to BravoCon, they limit you to like this many photo ops and things like that, and the photo ops are cool. But tips that I've learned from BravoCon, those photo ops are cool. You do get, but it's like, I wish it was professional pictures. Like, I would think for a photo op, it wouldn't be, oh, let me get your phone and then take a picture like that.
Yeah.
I thought they would actually have a camera, and it'd be something, because I was waiting like concert tickets for it, and they don't have a professional camera or anything. So always, honestly, too, the VIP was worth it because you got to meet a lot of people in that VIP lounge. And you got a little bit more one-on-one time to talk with them. Photo op, they didn't let you talk at all, basically. You got no time to have conversation.
Yeah, they had to keep it moving for sure. Are you and your mom going to BravoCon 2025?
Planning on it. Yep. Sweet. We are planning on going again.
So exciting. Well, it's a little easier, I guess, for you to get there because it's Vegas, right?
I think it's better because, like, I have a year under my belt already. So I feel like also knowing the venue, I might, have a little bbit of an inkling to, what to expect, and also like, a little bit of tips to, meet more people. My whole like position in the next year is to meet more people than I did the previous year. So I'm gonna be like, it's gonna be a task. I'm gonna get my money's worth. Meet hopefully more people than I did in 2023.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was so great. I think having a year off is going to make us like appreciate it even more in 2025.
I did appreciate it. Also appreciate it for the bank account too. So it gives you,
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Gives you enough time to recuperate from 2023, just in time to give it all back.
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
Tax return.
So in thinking about this episode and this season to get us back into like the realm of what was going on. So they're in the Bahamas. The boat is Eros. Eddie's the bosun. Kate is our chief stew. We have Chef Leon. The stews are Amy and Rocky. And then we're down a deckhand, but we have Connie and Emil as our deckhands.
Do we know why we're down a deckhand?
Jacob, do you remember why?
I don't remember. I mean, it's always like, I feel like it's a thing in Captain Lee's season where early on, I feel like there's always a deckhand getting fired. It's like early on in the seasons. From experience, I don't remember who it was or what the reason was.
Yeah, I think it was Dane. Does that sound right?
Quite possibly. That name rings a bell.
Yeah, I don't remember what he did. Maybe we'll have to fact check that. When the episode begins, it's like it starts with a bang. There's a fire in the galley, in the oven, and I love how Leon never wakes up, even like hearing a fire alarm. They could all hear that fire alarm, but he just sleeps. And no one seems to know what to do except Eddie, who tells Rocky, close the oven. You don't want more oxygen going to the fire. And then he opens it real quick, and then he uses a fire extinguisher to put it out.
What a mess. I'm not sure I would have been cool-headed enough to do what to do in that situation and just handle it as well. But as a side note, can we talk about how big Leon and Eddie's room is? This is ginormous.
It was really big. But here's the thing, Kelly, they all go through fire safety training before they get on these boats. And they probably have fire drills and they are supposed to know what to do if this happens. So the fact that they were all bumbling around was a little.
Look at Rocky though.
Yeah, that's true.
Watching the episode, I mean, we're going to talk a lot more about it, but it just brings me to the point. I'm wondering if Rocky was and for better words, a below deck hire or a Bravo hire, if you know what I mean. Because I just didn't see how she had any qualifications for any of the jobs that she basically attempted to do while on the boat.
No, the producers just knew she was a wackadoo, and they knew that she would make good TV. And you know what? They were right.
It was a Bravo hire, if you ask me. Definitely a Bravo hire.
Yeah.
Not mad, though.
So Kate was cooking pizzas, but they were still frozen at the time the fire started. And then there were these other pans that were sitting underneath, and Rocky blames Kate for not pulling the pans out. And Kate blames Leon because the oven is covered in grease, just like everything else in the galley.
Yeah, so Rocky is quick to throw Kate under the bus, which is pretty par for the course. And Kate played it cool with the guests, which is good. But it's the who did what.
Yeah, but Captain Lee says he's going to sort things out tomorrow. It's late. And okay, so the next day, Leon sees the note on the oven about the fire, and then I love how he immediately starts cleaning his work area.
He's such a Richard.
He knows.
He is such a Richard, and I forgot how big of a Richard he is, too.
He's such a jerk. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean by that, Jacob?
No, yes. I mean, it's slang term for...
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
We to let little ears listen, too, if they want.
Of course. Totally
so
understand.
Rocky tells Leon what happened the night before, and of course they're blaming Kate. Yes. And so today we have the 50th birthday for the charter guest, and Amy brings them breakfast in bed. Aww. And then Connie gets to do the anchor all by herself and makes Eddie super proud.
Was Connie the first woman deckhand we've had in the franchise?
Jacob, I'm going to defer to you on this. Do you think she was the first? This is season 3. I'm going to pull it.
No, it was, who was the girl that was interested in Kelly in season 2? She was a deckhand. She wasn't a stew. They,
Oh,
remember Kelly had a crush on her. They were like a
yeah.
little thing the whole season. But she was a deckhand. I think she was the first woman
Okay.
deckhand on Below Deck. Forgot her
Okay.
name,
I'm
but
gonna
she
pull
had a
up
fling with Kelly.
the Wikipedia thing real quick because it has a good diagram of all the seasons.
Nice.
One moment.
Ooh,
I
my
knew she was
mental
one of the
working
first,
well.
but had a feeling that she wasn't the first.
Yeah.
And that's where it came to mind. Because
I
season
just
one, there
remember,
wasn't any woman deckhands. Season one,
yeah,
it was complete.
it was all dudes. I just remember I really appreciated like how hard she worked, how hard Connie worked, and how like helpful she was, and she just did, like I think she paved the way a lot for the future.
Yeah,
Deckhand.
Janice Ontiveros was the deckhand in
Janice.
season 2. Yeah, on Ohana.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, Janice. I'm sad that Kelly wasn't in this season because I love having the brother-sister dynamic, but I think he does come back like the next season.
If I remember correctly, he was the bosun in season 2, and Lee wasn't happy with how he was doing as the bosun, so I don't think Lee preferred to have him as bosun again over someone like Eddie.
Yeah, I mean, Eddie's great.
Yeah.
So, so the guests are going to go diving with sharks.
With no cage. Like they are free ranging diving with sharks. No, thank you.
Well, don't worry, Kelly, because they didn't see any sharks.
Okay, but there are
No.
still other critters in the water.
Kelly's not a huge fan of the ocean. She likes to look at it.
I think it's beautiful. I appreciate it. I will get my toes in. That's about it.
Okay.
I'm a nerd.
Connie takes 2 of the ladies on this little Bloody Mary beach excursion. And at breakfast, the guests say they're so glad that the boat didn't burn down last night.
Same friends. We all are on that one, I think.
Yeah. So Captain Lee talks to Kate with the first officer taking notes. This felt very serious. And it turns out there was also some burning popcorn involved, like right before the pizza.
That just had to smell horrible, let alone the grease fire, but like burnt popcorn smell gets stuck in your nose.
Oh, it's the worst. My mom burnt some popcorn a few months ago in our house, and we had like all the windows open, like fans going. And then we hid all the rest of the microwave popcorn. We're like, you are not allowed to do this.
Yeah, and it's like when we get to the rest of the story, like with the whole popcorn and pizza thing, it seemed like Rocky was pulling Kate in many directions. So I'm not like fully blaming her because she was pulled. Oh, I don't know how to work the DVD player. I don't know how to do this. So she had all this stuff going on. And maybe she didn't let Rocky know and could have let Rocky know that there was stuff in the microwave and the oven, but she didn't. But she was pulled in multiple directions. And I think that's where it was kind of like lost in translation.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So when
not a popcorn button on these microwaves, or is that too like fancy?
I feel like there should have been a popcorn button on the microwaves in that season. I mean, I don't think it's like a new thing to have a popcorn button.
But does the popcorn button always work 100%? I mean, isn't it just a timer, like 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and it depends on, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I always just count, the seconds.
Yeah,
I count the seconds between the pops.
That's the right way to do it.
This has been Cooking on Above Deck. So when Captain Lee talks to Rocky, she launches into like how Kate has acted toward Leon, how she treats them, and he's not interested. He just wants to hear about what happened that night. And after all these discussions, Captain Lee and the first officer conclude it was the dirty oven. The dirty oven was the culprit. And so next up, they're going to talk to Chef Leon. And Leon does not understand why he's being questioned because he wasn't there. And he says there were dry, clean pans in the oven. Captain Lee says that would not start a fire, and neither would a still frozen pizza.
Yeah. I'm just wondering what the pans were doing in the oven in the first place. Wouldn't those be like dishes that you would clean or something like that?
Put them away.
That was my opinion. Like, is he using that as storage? Did he not have enough room to store it somewhere? Like, why? Like, even if the pans were clean, I don't know why there's empty pans in there. Like, after I eat my pizza from, DiGiorno or whatever, I'm just going to leave the pan in there and clean it later? Like,
no.
Yeah.
Because you never remember that the pan's in there.
No, never. Like, you would just, like, turn it on.
No one would think, like, Kate putting the pizza in, there's these random pans in there. No, like, she's in a rush to feed these guests, so she doesn't have time to look at that. Nor does
Yeah.
really anyone with a brain about putting things in the oven have pans in the oven like that.
Yeah, exactly.
She probably, probably thought he put those pans in there. I'm not taking them out because it'll make him upset, and she
Right.
doesn't need that. If she did, So no, I mean, it's just there's just so many like red flags.
Yeah.
Red
Ugh,
flag.
Leon, the worst. So then Leon throws in that Kate was drinking, and this wasn't the first time he's seen her drinking. But then when Captain Lee questions her, he says, well, he didn't see her drinking that night. So he just lied. And then Leon and Kate have not been getting along all season. And Leon sounds like he's kind of daring Captain Lee to fire him. He's just like, just do what you're going to do. And he does. This will be his last charter, but Lee wants to see him finish the charter.
Did you think he would stay?
No, because he has such a bad attitude. But
I didn't think he would stay either with the whole situation and him staying on the boat. Right when he challenged him, like, to me, just from experience, if someone's like, so like, that's gonna be your call, what are you gonna do about it? You're challenging your boss, 9 times out of 10, you're getting fired.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, he challenged his boss on purpose because he wanted to get fired rather than quit because he thinks that's the more noble way. And to me, like, this is nothing personal or anything. The fact that he was talking about later in the episode how, oh, like, I don't care about this paycheck. I get another paycheck at home, this, that, and the third. If you're a chef, you should be showing how you care about your art and how your art is being displayed. So you're showing how you don't care about that doesn't show me you're as great of a chef as you want to put off.
Good point.
Yeah, that's a good point. For sure. So Leon tells Rocky that he's leaving, and Rocky says, you leave, I'm leaving.
Oh,
and Leon leaves right then and leaves everybody hanging, leaves his team hanging. Gonna affect their tip potentially. And Eddie and Amy are trying to talk Rocky out of quitting, and she gets mad, strips off her clothes, and does a swan dive into the water. And she swims to another boat.
Look, Amy and Eddie were trying to be Switzerland, and they're doing a good job, right? Because that's got to be hard. And they're trying to talk her down, but she has it already in her head. She's not happy about Leon leaving. And when she starts stripping down, Amy said, have some respect for yourself. And after it's announced that she's jumped, Kate said she forgot her mermaid tail.
Because if I remember correctly, this wasn't her first time jumping in the water, like without asking or getting permission or something like that. And, they're playing Switzerland, but at this point, like, I feel like the babying of Rocky needed to stop, and they needed to put their foot down and be like, listen, right now, you're acting like a spoiled brat right now, and you need to like get your head up and, start working if you want to keep this job. You can't keep threatening us that you want to quit because you're not showing us that you want to keep the job anyway. So, I mean, you can go if you want. Like, that's where you dare her, because she's like, well, I'm going to leave and everything. I feel like someone like her, if you dare her, okay, then leave. She wouldn't have left anyway. So that was my opinion. They could have like put their foot down a little bit more and possibly avoided her jumping in. I think it was the babying of her and her, basically controlling that conversation that made her, jump in the water. It probably couldn't have been avoided anyway. And there was an emotional outburst. But honestly, I mean, the dude's fired. There's no changing it.
Right. Yeah. He's already gone. Like, he's out. He's gone. The boat has left. One of these days, I want to hear on one season for somebody to say, suck it up, Buttercup. Let's go. I just want, it's probably not an HR thing, but I don't feel like half the stuff they do is HR right. So anyway.
Well, I get that. Like with the Leon thing, when he was leaving the boat, I didn't respect how he left the boat and how he was hugging people. Me personally, if I was on the boat, I wouldn't be giving him hugs and goodbyes. It'd be like, you want to leave like this, bye. Like, I'm not going to give you hugs and goodbyes because you're leaving us hanging, because we find out later, this charter is literally ending like that night. He could have cooked one more meal. And went off on a better note. Because, this is possibly going to be something that goes on his resume or something that goes on his record, that he was asked to finish the charter and he didn't. So that could affect future jobs of yours.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say I'm glad that Rocky jumped off the boat, because I feel like this is one of the top like 5 most iconic Below Deck moments of all time.
Yes.
So good. It's one of the reasons
Totally agree.
this episode is so good. So thank goodness for unhinged people.
It's what makes it memorable. Like, if you remember, like, you don't even have to remember the whole episode. You just remember Rocky jumping in the water. Then, you know, the rest of the episode comes to you, but that's like the key moment that makes people like remember, oh, it's that episode.
Yes. And I want to give you props, Jacob, because this was one of the episodes you suggested, and our listeners agreed that this would be a great episode to recap. So I'm glad this was our first OG episode that we're recapping. So with all this chaos going on, now we have the charter guests coming back from their dive, and we've just had the chef leave. Rocky is swimming to another boat, and Captain Lee has his plan. He's going to buy them lunch on land, like get them off the boat while we figure out what the heck we're going to do. And then here comes Connie's booze cruise. These ladies are wasted.
I was dying laughing at them when they came back. I mean, they had a blast. They obviously had a great time. And when they got off the boat, the guys were like, hey, you've got like 6 minutes to get changed because we're going back on land to get some food. And they were just like, huh?
That kind of sobered them up real quick. They're like, wait, what?
Yeah, they were completely plastered when they got back. I don't remember if the guys were too. I think they were like pretty normal because they were just diving and everything.
Yeah.
The girls had a grand old time, and good for them, you know, because they didn't get to do the sharks. They probably didn't want to anyway.
Yeah.
So this was some more fun for them.
Yeah, it did look really fun. I'd want to do both of those activities. So Rocky gets dropped off by the other boat. They drop her off. And she's been given a shirt to wear. And I wonder if she still has that Motor Yacht Morningstar t-shirt. Do we think she does?
Oh, yeah.
Quite possibly. I feel like it's a memorabilia item at that point. You know,
that should be at the BravoCon like Smithsonian that they put together.
Yes.
I feel like they should add more Below Deck like memorabilia. Like they have a lot of like housewives and stuff, and that's great because that's like the iconic stuff that kind of pretty much brought Bravo up. But definitely add some more Below Deck displays and, you know, things like that as far as, you know, items that we can remember. And
So I was thinking about how embarrassed I would have been to be the crew of the Eros, to be the crew on the Motor Yacht Morningstar, because those people have got to be thinking, what in the HE double hacky sticks is going on that super yacht where people are jumping overboard? Like, what is happening?
I really like when they come on the radio, they're like, Eros, we have one of your crew members.
So like, they got to think of how they word that, you know, like, and they're like, oh, that's good enough.
Yeah, exactly. We don't know why.
I'm wondering if she even swam to a boat. Like, I feel like she was just trying to like swim and like open land, and the boat kind of like saw her and picked her up. I don't necessarily think she swam to the boat.
Yeah. It seemed like they kept showing her, and at first she's just like swimming to some rocks. Like they were like on board saying, where is she going? And then they show her just like talking to the people on the other boat. So I don't know. I can only imagine what those conversations were like. So Lee makes a phone call to another chef to finish out the season, and it sounds like he's also looking for a deckhand too. I just wanted to pause here and say all of these crew members are so real, and it really makes me miss how Below Deck used to be instead of so many like young, hot influencer types.
I feel like this was the season that started to turn the franchise into the show that it is now by getting more like clickable crew members or like exciting crew members where, you know, they're going to be the talk of the water cooler or something. I don't know.
I do think it turned it around for the franchise. I think season 3 is probably a key season that turned things around. Everyone knows I'm super biased of Kate, and I feel like her and Lee really brought up the franchise to what it is. Yeah. But like classic seasons with Kate and Lee, in my opinion, is what made Below Deck what it is today with all the franchises that it is.
100%.
Absolutely.
So Rocky makes a phone call to her parents. Her mom convinces her that she should stay. She's not a quitter. And she goes to Captain Lee to talk to him, and she apologizes, which he's not a fan of apologies. And he wants her to show him that she's serious and that she wants to be there. And she decides she is going to help out with dinner.
So I was thinking, okay, well, maybe this will help her get her creativity out, and just kind of be a release for her and to show the captain what she can do, because she said she's trained culinary expert or something.
Right. I mean, she's been stuck in laundry. She's been going crazy. What do we think about Emil? Are he and Rocky just two dum-dums?
Yes.
I think Emil showed strides like later in that season. If I remember correctly, he improved a lot, like compared to like someone like Rocky, right? He actually showed initiative to work and get the job done. I think Lee let him pull up the anchor a few times at the end of the season, and he got better. And I think that season ended with Lee telling him that he would hire him again. So I do think that he improved, and he was a dum-dum at first, because if I remember correctly, I think he started off, he was green, in my opinion, I think. Or was he? Was he green at the start of the season?
Know.
I think he was
I feel like
green.
he was.
So for someone who didn't know what they were doing at first, if I remember correctly, he improved a lot. Rocky, I don't know if I could say the same.
No. She was a one-hit wonder, right? We only had her for the one season.
Yeah, and I don't feel like you needed to have her for other seasons. Not in a bad way, but it's just like she kind of like hit that prime, hit her peak of like that, era on TV.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think she showed up to the reunion that year, because there was a reunion.
I do remember the reunion in the clubhouse in person, and
she did show up to the reunion. Yeah, and then I don't think that. I think she said she wouldn't do it again. Basically, that's where she like quit yachting, was on the reunion.
Okay. All right. So Rocky gets to work in the galley, and there's a flashback to a meal Rocky cooked for the crew where it appears to be just raw meat. And Eddie is standing by, keeping his eyes on her. She makes this interesting looking salad with a little cookie crumble.
It looked delicious until the chocolate cookie crumble was I don't understand. I don't.
It looked okay for what she was putting together, in my opinion. But if you really look at it closely, it's a bunch of mixed vegetables that's different color. They call it a deconstructed salad. Yeah. It's pretty much a lazy way of saying, oh, in my opinion, like them saying, oh, this looks different. Rich people will eat it, something like that.
It was like,
but yeah, when you add the Oreos, you take out the whole culinary aspect of that dish. How is the Oreos going to complement a salad? Any kind of vegetables, you're putting a dessert on vegetables, which is, counteracting the healthy aspect of the appetizer.
Some people just have a knack for like being creative with cooking, and I don't think she has it.
No.
The jury's still out on the culinary school. I mean, I don't know if the culinary school was, learning in school like home ec or something, something that everyone had to do, and that makes you a culinary expert.
Yeah.
But,
Well, the piece de resistance of this meal is the oysters with the grenadine dribbled on top of them.
I am not well versed in oysters, other than saying no thank you when they come my way.
Yeah.
So I was giving her the benefit of the doubt with the grenadine, but when like Kate like turned her nose up at it, I'm like, this isn't right. Like this isn't right.
Let me add something that looks like blood.
It doesn't complement the colors of it. I've also, I'm gonna be honest, I've never had oysters before, but I mean, I've seen pictures, like you see like food on Instagram or Pinterest or something like that, and you see some oysters and they look pretty good, pretty aesthetically pleasing. Putting the grenadine on it, isn't grenadine like an additive that you add to certain things for like a little bit of flavor or whatever? And like oysters like fish juice. So you're adding grenadine to like basically fish juice. Is it for aesthetic? Is it for taste? Who knows? Because the thing is, Rocky was putting this stuff on the plate without tasting it. Any good chef tastes their food before they put it on the plate. Because if you tasted that, then you would have been like, oh no, I'm not going to serve it to the guests.
Yeah.
So immediately that's what I thought, and I put in my notes that I was like, she's not tasting the food. A culinary expert tastes the food before they serve it to customers.
Definitely. I really loved watching the crew watch her like make these decisions, and it's like they may have said something or they wanted to, but at some point they were just like, we're just going to let this disaster happen and it can't be stopped.
You got to let the train wrecks happen. I mean, it's already happening. What are you going to do?
I mean, grenadine goes in a Shirley Temple, right?
Yes.
That's the only thing I know
sugar
about.
Sugar syrup.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can use it for
flavor.
mixed drinks mostly.
Oh boy, another highlight. So the guests are all looking at each other when these oysters come out, and Alan goes to the bathroom to throw up. What a memorable birthday dinner this has been. By the way, when he comes back, why didn't we get those oysters off the table? Get them out of there.
I really hoped, as I'm watching this, I'm like, I didn't get a puke warning. It wasn't as graphic as usual, but I really hope it was like nobody else gets sick.
Yeah,
it's one thing to see like the train wreck in the kitchen, but then when you see like someone throwing up, you gotta take that food away. Yeah. And to be honest, the crew was lucky because they could have got, the type of guest to say, oh, well, chicken's for poor people, I don't eat that. Or if anyone remembers that. when they did that. Or like really rude guests, they would have probably really laid it into them. But I will say this charter were probably some of the nicest charter guests I've seen on the show, period.
Yeah.
So they got really lucky for having Rocky serve them this BS and making them eat it, and them still saying that it was a good meal.
Yeah, they really did get lucky. So now Eddie has decided to kind of step in, and he's making the steaks. And they'll go really well with the Oreo salads. So Eddie is questioning himself. Why has he been hooking up with Rocky?
I mean, he did say she had a nice butt, and I'm sure there were other fun things that they did together that will quickly remind him why he did what he did with her. But it's not like he was going after a Mensa scholar or something. Like,
it just proves that, like, in my opinion, just from history, right? Any kind of relationship that you have outside of being on the show for Below Deck, it's going to end. It's going to end bad. Someone's going to get jealous. Someone's going to cheat. Something's going to happen. So don't come on the boat with a relationship and, it's a little bit safer. Because I don't know if you guys noticed, but he was in a relationship at this time. He was texting his girlfriend after he would do the nasty with Rocky. So he was texting her directly after he got done. And in my opinion, I'm not giving Eddie the pass. That's disgusting.
No, that is so gross. I had totally forgotten this, and I was like, wait. Oh, I forgot he still had a girlfriend at home.
This girl's at home thinking he's, sunshine and rainbows. He's doing a great job. And then she's going to turn on this show and find out.
Yeah.
He's another Richard for that.
Shocking, but not totally shocking. Well, the guests do love this steak, and they ask to have Leon come out so they can personally thank him for how great the meals have been the past 3 days. And Kate says, oh, no, he has fallen ill.
Nice. Quick thinking. Good job.
Fallen ill of unemployment-itis. That was,
yes, exactly.
That was one of my favorite lines on there.
So the birthday cake arrives. It's a disaster. It's a total mess, and they're trying to fix it with whipped cream. And the guests have a great birthday dinner regardless. And then it ends with fireworks.
Did they say the primary had never had a birthday cake before?
Yes.
Oh, well, I would say I was really impressed with how Kate and Amy scrambled to kind of doctor it up to make sure that it looked nice for him. And he didn't even, he was so excited. He didn't even care.
Yeah.
Because it looks like the boat probably hit a couple waves and stuff like that. And I mean, the delivery was atrocious for that cake. For having a birthday cake, the delivery was atrocious. The whipped cream was melting off and everything. I mean, again, luckily, the guests were so thankful. The most thankful guests you could have fed, not in a bad way. You could have fed them anything and they wouldn't have complained about it. Yeah. I mean, and it was crazy. I mean, the cake was probably good. It just aesthetically wasn't necessarily the most pleasing, but he still seemed to like it. The fireworks were good. Yeah.
Yeah. The cake looked like a Pinterest fail.
Nailed it.
So we have a nighttime departure. And I kind of love that this is different than our typical formula. It just kind of changes things up a little bit. And Rocky starts getting into it with Kate in the galley. And Kate says Rocky has 17 personalities.
Yeah. Kate was being really nice to her. I mean, she was being cordial.
Yeah. Yeah, but she's just on the defensive. So the next day, we have the tip meeting. It's something like $17K. And everyone agrees that they want an apology from Rocky, you know, for what they put them all through, but nada. And the new chef is coming. And guess what? It's Chef Ben.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, is this the best episode ever? It has everything. And we get a hello, darling. Hello, lovely.
I was thinking the same thing. Best ever.
No, yeah, I totally agree. Like having Ben come in, and if you like when watching the episode, he said he would have done the entire, you know, season, but he had another like charter to finish or something.
Yeah.
And he couldn't. But he was thankful that he, you know, was able to come in. And you're not able to see it in the episode, but I remember the episode after that, he deep cleaned everything because the next episode, if you ever want to watch it like yourself, season 3, episode 11, the episode after this, Ben does a deep clean and shows how dirty the kitchen the galley was. And it is atrocious to see.
Oh, so gross. I am going to have to watch the next one. So Ben says that he and Kate patched things up since the last season, and they've even dropped anchor a few times.
All right. We still need to... The speculation is still out there, right? About her son.
Well, definitely on the interwebs. What's your thought, Jacob? Do you have any thoughts on that?
But, you know, right when I saw it, immediately I did, you know, kind of fall into the trap where like, oh, I mean, he kind of looks like Ben. I mean, I'm respecting Kate's privacy.
Absolutely.
And I don't really want to speak on it if she doesn't want to. I'm happy that, you know, she has a kid. She seems like a wonderful mom.
Yeah.
I remember when they had the, you know, I forgot what it was called, but the watch with Lee and Kate, and they were watching the Bravo shows. They canceled that after one season. That was kind of fun. In my opinion, the episodes were too short, so they didn't really show like key elements of the shows.
Yeah.
But, I remember that was fun, and they showed her child in that too, and it was really cool to see. But yeah, I think there's definitely still speculation, but I'm waiting for her to give us an answer because that's the most respectful thing for the mother to give us the answer if they want to. If they don't want to, then that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. So I did not remember that Connie has like hearts in her eyes when she sees Ben. She's like all about him.
She was so schoolgirlish and just talking. It was just so cute. So cute.
I didn't remember that either. That she had hearts, you know, for Ben and everything. But I feel like definitely like looking at them like talk and stuff, Ben and Kate still had that kind of like, you know, relationship vibe going on where they were trying to like feel out what they are, you know. So like even Kate, like I think in the you know, diary room, or I call it the diary room because I watch Big Brother, but you know, the confessional, in the confessional, she says how, what are we, you know, and stuff. So we're still trying to figure that out. And, you know, I don't know about being together because we're two of the same person.
Good point.
I do love them together, though. I think that would be great. I do feel a big shift in the energy on board now that it's gotten Leon off and we have Ben on, and it's just really changed the dynamic of the season and things are looking up.
Yes.
So Kate fills Ben in on the dynamics of the season, and they are very flirtatious with each other.
I just love it. I just want to do this.
They definitely had the flirty dynamic. Like I was saying, when they were talking, you just like felt the sparks as they were talking. So there was probably definitely something that was going on before the charter, and they were happy to see each other again. So that was cute.
Absolutely.
Definitely. So Jacob, who is the deckhand that joins the boat? Did we figure this out?
I did. It's what's his name? I had it searched up right here.
Is it David? Is that what you said?
It's David. Yes.
Oh, I like David.
From season 1. Yeah.
Yeah. He just seemed like a nice guy.
David from season 1, and then that when he joins, he announces how I believe he got either engaged or married to his boyfriend at the time, and then it was like a warm welcome for him. He was only there, I'm pretty sure him and Ben were basically only there for like a charter or two, and then that season ended.
Okay, yeah, because they were getting close to the end.
Yeah, they just couldn't have Rocky finish it off after that display. Again, I didn't even put that in my notes, the whole thing when I was saying about tasting the food, but that should have been first thing. Like, and I feel like I see most chefs on Below Deck tasting their food before they put it out. So that was a red flag in itself.
Definitely. Man, what an episode, guys. What an episode.
Best.
It was really good. It's hard for me to give perfect scores. So I do say 9 shackles out of 10.
Okay.
Because like I don't know if it was perfect, because I find something perfect to like basically keep me perked up the whole time. And there were certain times where it was kind of like up and down, but it definitely had a lot more up moments than down moments. And it's also hard to give one episode a 10 because you know it goes off of the previous episode, then goes into the new episode. It was a longer episode than anticipated, though. Most Below Deck episodes on Peacock are usually only like 42, 43 minutes. This one was like 54, 55 minutes.
I noticed
so it was a longer one.
I thought so. Thought so. It's time for our segment, Join Me in the Wheelhouse, where we decide who needs to see Captain Lee for a stern talking to. Jacob, as our guest, who would you choose this week to see Captain Lee?
I mean, I think the easy answer, well, one of them already got fired, so Leon's not an option. Or else that possibly would have been my first option.
Yeah.
But I mean, obvious answer, it has to be Rocky. Underrated answer, if you ask me, would be Kate to decide if they should keep Rocky or let her go. Because I like when they bring in the chief stews or the bosun to decide, because that's their team at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So like consulting with them is good. But all in all, it has to be Rocky, because in my opinion, not trying to be mean, I don't see what value she brings to this boat, this crew at all. I don't see anything that she brings as a skill, whether that's laundry, service, even how she talks to some of the guests is very unprofessional and not really seeming like Below Deck, caliber as far as like an actual yachty themselves. Obviously, she's definitely a more drama hire. It's definitely a Bravo hire, and they did a great job at that. But logically, it has to be Rocky that goes to the Wheelhouse.
All right, Rocky, get up here. All right, well, that's it for this week's episode of Above Deck. Thank you, Jacob, for joining us for this OG recap. And thank you to our team at Hurrdat Media, especially our awesome producer, Grace. Please subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to tell a friend about us. And also, you need to rate and review us 5 stars only.
You can follow us on Instagram at abovedeckpod, and you can email us at abovedeckpod@gmail.com. You can always watch our episodes on the Hurrdat Media YouTube channel. Until next time, I'm Kelly Busby.
And I'm Sarah Goldman. We'll see you later this week, because we're going to have another bonus episode. Stay tuned.